Robot Damashii Nu Gundam. Ground posing now, where it seems like he's going to have an edge over the HGUC, besides the fact that you already saw some earlier weight issues. He's just going to seem like he's going to move a lot more easily, especially considering the way that the joints are going to move very well. The elbows have great mobility, and the ankles, even if they're not flat, do feel secure. Coming across the other way sort of sets up a whole new dynamic there, as you're going to have no problem getting that right arm into any position you want. And it is a very nice touch that you're able to take those fin funnels back there, and you can see that they're rotated quite a bit back, but depending on the angle that you position them on your shelf, I think he's going to come across as looking even more dynamic, as you can always have them sort of in a swept back position. Call Joe because it's bazooka time here, and you can see some nice color apps back there. In terms of the missiles that are going to come out, you don't have anything in terms of color back there, but the nice white handle up there, the navy blue is going to go all the way through, and these are very nice touches that they're actually going to be putting it around the white parts there. For the barrel, that's just begging for something to be painted up on the inside. Lining opportunities again all over the place, but those red parts, if they're exposed, should look nice. But just be warned that pretty much any time you try to maneuver him or repose him, you can guess that those things are going to fall off, and they're not necessarily going to stay clamped together anymore. The beam rifle is going to fit a little awkwardly when you put it here in the back, and that's just because it's going to bump into the backpack up there, so you're actually going to have to take the chest and sort of lean it forward. But for the bazooka, it's definitely doing a good job of staying in there, which is something that the HGUC occasionally had problems with, especially if you don't have that gray part attached into the backpack securely. For the beam saber, you're going to have the choice of the rather boring one from the forearm, but it's still got a great gimmick getting it out. But this one's going to be a lot more exciting here. First of all, down here on the hilt, you can see that you're going to have this nice little pink part down here, which is actually offset there. It sort of looks like a Tetris S piece there. And over here, you're able to take this part and move that up and down. You could do some lining if you wanted, and in terms of a beam saber here, you're going to have it flat, almost double O style there, but it's definitely going to have a nice jagged edge. Reminds me of Double X, at least on this one side, and overall it's looking like a lot of pain from this. Not necessarily an exciting pose, but it's just designed to show you the beam rifle and bazooka in place there. You can have the shield coming across, and because the manipulators are so easy to swap in and out there, it just makes it very easy for you to actually do this in terms of play value. You can put in the open hand there. You can see that you've got the red parts exposed on the inside of the shield over there. And the beam saber, because of its large size there, and the fact that it's got the two pink parts, everything about that is just looking a lot more interesting than a standard old school SB1 kind of thing that you'd get out of an HG kit. One recurring complaint I've had over the years for Gunpla is that you're always going to have problems getting the bazookas over the shoulders or doing various poses. They just don't seem to want to go there, but that is going to be completely negated here. This was very easy to get it over the shoulder. The arm, because it's going to have such a flexible bend here at the elbow, and the wrists have a fair bit of mobility, even though they are very easy just to pop off here. They seem to go exactly where you want it. And again, because you can angle the fin funnels wherever you want, that shield is going to work out. It's only fallen off once or twice on me so far, but the bazooka is going to look good, whether it's on the back or shooting out this way. I'm really surprised they didn't make a big deal out of this on the packaging, but you are going to be getting this clear part here. And if you take a look at the backpack there, you're going to have to squeeze that together just a little bit to put it on there. But once you've got it on there, you're going to have a hole on either side that you can start attaching the fin funnel connection points. But like 3 horrible pieces of gum from inside the package that gave you in the instruction manual, you're going to be getting these very nice effect parts. And the reason I'm keen to turn them over here is just because you'll notice that they're not flat at all, but in fact they're wrinkly all around. You can see here where they're going to have the attachment points, but you've only got 3 despite the fact it's got 6 fin funnels. And when you combine those with the fact that you've got 3 of these, it looks like you've got 1 long one and 2 shorter ones, and they're all going to use these little custom attachment points here, which you may be able to make out. Some of them are facing forward and some of them have these tabs off to the side. And these are going to plug in here as there's just that very small slit down there, and you can take these and put them in. But if you're looking for something that's going to be very, very secure, this is not the place that you're going to find it necessarily. And if you take a look at the back here, you can see that there's going to be that separation, which seems like it's designed to be there because you can't really push that further back. But it is sort of interesting that it's not going to be having a straight line up there. All of them are a little bit jagged. And they really do fall apart at the drop of a hat, but if you hold them in place, you can see how that connection point there, combined with this arm, should lead to an interesting effect as they come whooshing out of the back if you can actually keep them in place. They're going to stay very securely when they're attached in here, and when I say stay in place, I mean the pink effect parts, again, they're going to fall out at the drop of your hat. And finally, for the attachment points here, you can see that this base down here is going to give you the playability to put in two, one on the left or right, and built into the backpack is another slit there. So you can use the straight one here, it's just going to have a peg going straight in, whereas these ones are all going to have L shapes, and when you get them all on, which is going to take a little bit of time. And finally, it's time for Amuro's famous EK fangs, except it's not quite like that, as it looks like this is the best that you're going to be able to do right out of this box for the robot Damashii, is to have three of them, thanks to the three effect parts and the three poles there to attach them into the back, to go off. This is going to have the unfortunate side effect, first of all, of actually leaving these looking a little bit lonely back there. Really not much more to them. You can position the arms, and of course you can keep them armed up, and you can actually put the bazooka in, thanks to the fact they're even going to be giving you this extra little attachment part, which is going to work with that clear part that you've already seen back there. But maybe it's the angle that I have these set at here, as they're going to be sort of awkwardly off there at the side and showing off the piping as much as possible. If you twisted them into a more aesthetically pleasing place, or a different angle, I think it might come across as being a little bit better. But you're not going to have a lot of flexibility in there, as they're actually in there quite rigidly. And the biggest problem being is that the minute you try to move these, it only seems like you can jerk them around just a little bit. They're not going to move smoothly at all. And of course, when you're doing that, those pink parts are going to fall out, and some of my fin funnels over just the course of this review have actually become quite loose, and they're definitely not feeling like they ever want to stay in place. So on to some final thoughts, starting with the coloring, where I'd say that the colors in this kit really do pop, especially compared to the Gunpla back there, where you're going to see that the blue is going to just have a little bit of gray tinge to it, whereas this one is going to have a dark color scheme. The red and the oranges are all going to pop, and you're also going to have some extra color wraps that you wouldn't expect on an HGUC. I'm talking about inside the shoulders there, and on the side skirts you can really see some nice little details on there, and that includes to going as far here as the black parts that go around in terms of ringing the bazooka there. In terms of posability, excellent in terms of the knees and the elbows and the shoulders with their pop ability, as they can move up and down. The fact that he's still got the A and you can get it visible there is great. You're also able to take the fin funnels and you're able to move them in and out there on the back, which is a nice touch. The weapons are going to be good. The beam rifle a little bit plain unless you want to add some lining to it. But the bazooka, A, it works when it's mounted on the back, and it's going to work even better when you put it in hand, which compared to a lot of other Gundam bazookas is really not going to be, it's really a big plus. The beam saber, the fact that you've got the plain Jane one, but it's stuck in the forearm with a great pop-out mechanism, if you take this and put it on, should be a lot of fun. But the oversized one, if you take a look at the back there, you can just see the size of the very small one that's going to be included with the HGUC Delta Chi. And in this one, it's just an absolute monster in comparison. The fin funnels themselves are going to be very nice because they are going to have 6 different attachment points, as you can do them top or bottom, and they're all going to have 2 pegs that come out, and they are going to fit on fairly well. But for some of the negatives here, the big one is just going to be the fin funnels themselves. They do come across as being a little bit weak. I wouldn't necessarily say worse than the HGUC, but definitely not a big improvement except for the fact that seals aren't going to be coming off there. I like the fact that you can put them on both ways, but it would have been nicer if you had had the 2 attachment points, and that would have doubled up the security as you put them all together, as the 2 leftmost ones just have a tendency to sort of fall off to the side, and I've had them fall apart here. And putting in the effect parts very well designed because they're not going to be flat. They've got these jagged edges all over the place. They're definitely 3D. Very nice effect. However, they're not going to fit in there very well. And the fact that these parts come across as being loose just means that they're problematic to get them in. And the fact that you've got those attachment points on the back, it's still great that they're going to be giving them to you. Only 3 is going to be somewhat problematic because instead of having all 6 of them shooting regally out of the body, instead of something like an action base here, you're only going to be able to have a max of 3, which means they are going to look a little bit lonely when they're still back there on the back. And the fact is, once you get them out, they're very difficult to position, so you're going to have to do it right. But with a little bit of experimentation, I think that you can definitely have some fun. And in terms of play value, it's got great visual appeal. It captures the power of the anime. Would have been nicer if he was a little bit bigger, because I'd say I prefer the size personally of the HGUC to this one. Good proportions though, good colors, and that playability factor is going to be great because the manipulators, as simple as they are, they're going to give you lots of different options between just the closed fist, the beam rifle holding, the beam saber holdings, the closed fist, and then you've got the open hands there. They're all going to look dynamic, and no matter what you do with him, he's going to get there. It's just a question of keeping the fin funnels in place when you do. Overall, I'm definitely impressed, and I think that you would be too. It would be awfully nice, I suppose, to have 6 of those fin funnels flying around. I wonder if Bandai has ever anticipated that need somehow. Of course, stick around for more, but in the meantime, since I've only bought the Crossbone X3 from the Robot Damashii line, and I think I only bought that A because we don't have any gunpla of it, but B, it was knocked down to 1,000 yen or something like that. This kit has definitely got me intrigued to see more. To have this facing off with the Sazabi, I think would be a lot of fun. And there's just a lot of new Gundam, very new on the horizon, as we've got A, the HGUC, which was long awaited for almost a decade, and then we've got the Master Grade version KA out very shortly. Can't wait to see these all together. That's also going to have a double fin funnel option. Anyway, everybody, why don't you let me know what you've been thinking so far of the Robot Damashii line? How does the new stack up to some of the other ones? Would love to hear your opinion, and what do you think of it compared to the price of the HGUC in terms of play value and features? Anyway, everybody, as always, thanks for watching. Stick around for lots more news, reviews, figures, and gunpla as well. See you next time, everybody. Bye. I just need to borrow a couple of these stands from Delta Chi, and all of a sudden, none of my fin funnels are lonely anymore. Hey, and besides, you'd still have one too many.